What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, Lauren here, and today I'm gonna go over the Totemic and Farseer hero talent trees, as well as my wishes and changes for the Resto spec tree, as well as some points that I'll go over in the general Shaman class tree. But like I said, most of my focus will be on the spec tree changes and the Totemic and Farseer hero talent trees. Um, I got alpha access this week, and I felt a bit entitled to give my insight on how the class feels so far in the War Within with the new hero talent trees. And I also wanted to give my insight and point of view from more of a Mythic Plus key setting, since Thune's POV, which is also very insightful, is more of a raid perspective. And I obviously wanted to give more of a Mythic Plus POV, since I've been pushing for rank 1 for a couple of years now in the spec, and I have a lot of things that I would like to see get addressed in the War Within, because it's gotten to a point where it can feel very frustrating to play the spec at a very high key level. Like any other spec, it has its advantages and disadvantages, but for sure we have a lot of issues in our spec tree that haven't been addressed throughout the whole expansion. And like I said, I'll go over them and would like to see them addressed. I don't want to make this video too long. This is actually a second draft because my first one lasted 1 hour. So I'll try to make it brief. So we already have access to both of our hero talent trees. Those are Farseer and Totemic. The quick TLDR on Farseer is that it's very passive, but it's effective and efficient. It seems to be more Riptide lenient, and the main trigger to, or should I say, the main ability to trigger Call of the Ancestors is Unleashed Life, which I think it is a bit problematic, but I'll go over in a bit. And then we have Totemic. Totemic got released this week. It is looking to be very fun and promising. We have a lot of old tier sets making a comeback, which were very loved by us Resto Shamans in the past, so that seems to be very fun. It revolves around Healing Rain. In this case, it's replaced by Surging Totem, which casts Healing Rain. It is also more effective, and it spawns 4 Healing Rains, if I'm not mistaken, every 5 seconds, and that lasts for 20 seconds. And it also seems to be a bit chain heal lenient, but it also has its issues, and I'll go over them in a bit. So let's start with Farseer. Farseer, like I said, is all about spawning spirits / ancestors, and the main way to trigger them is through Unleashed Life. When you cast Unleashed Life, you'll spawn an ancestor, and they will do replicated abilities at half around that value of your effectiveness. And as you can see, when they vanish / disappear, they provide you with a Hydro Bubble, which is an absorb shield that lasts 10 seconds, but its value decays over time, which is also a bit annoying in my opinion, but I'll go over it in a bit. So you have the main aspect of it is through Unleashed Life, which triggers the Ancestor. Then you also have talents like Routine Communication, which also have a way to trigger an Ancestor through Riptide. You have the Capstone, which is Ancestral Swiftness, which is another way to trigger an Ancestor. So TLDR, I'll give you a quick overview of the tree. The main ability is Call of the Ancestors. Unleashed Life calls an ancestor to your side for 6 seconds. Whenever you cast a healing or damaging spell, the ancestor will cast a similar spell. Latent Wisdom, your ancestor's spells are 20% more powerful. Ancient Fellowship, ancestors have a 15% chance to call another ancestor when they expire. I'm not gonna go over a bit too much like which talent is better and which one is worse, because it's still too early into alpha to say which one is which, obviously. There's gonna be some obvious ones, but Like I said, it's alpha and we're gonna have tuning at some point, so I'm just gonna go over them briefly. Then you have Heed My Call, ancestors last an additional 2 seconds, or Riptide has a 15% chance to call an ancestor. Elemental Reverb, both Lava Burst and Riptide gain an additional charge, and Lava Burst in this case deals 5% more damage, and Riptide heals for 5% more healing. Offering from Beyond, when an ancestor is called, they reduce the cooldown on Riptide by 2 seconds. Primordial Capacity increases your maximum mana by 5%, and Tidal Waves can now stack up to 4 times. This is a tooltip error, it says 6, but I can almost guarantee you that the cap is 4, not 6. This was a change to the patch notes this week. A bit of a weird one, but I thought they would do something else with Farseer, but yeah, that was a change this week. Then you have Spearwalker's Momentum. Using spells with a cast time increases the duration of Spearwalker's Grace and Spearwalker's Ages by 1 second, up to a maximum of 4. Then you have Natural Harmony, reduces the cooldown of Nature's Guardian, which is your proc, by 10 seconds, and causes it to heal for an additional 5% of your maximum health. Earthian Communion, Earth Shield has an additional 3 charges and heals you for 25% more. Maelstrom Supremacy increases the healing done by Healing Wave, Surge, Wellspring, Downpour, and Chain Heal by 8%. And then you have Final Calling, which is a passive buff. When an ancestor expires, they cast Hydro Bubble on a nearby injured ally, and it surrounds that target in a protective water bubble for 10 seconds. The shield absorbs the next 70k incoming damage, but the absorb amount decays fully over its duration. And then you have the Capstone. The Capstone is supposed to replace Nature Swiftness, which is, obviously, as you know, an ability that makes your next healing or damage ability cost no mana, and it's instant, and it has 1 minute cooldown. However, Ancestral Swiftness is 45 seconds cooldown, does the same thing as Nature Swiftness, but it increases the damage and healing done of your next ability in comparison to Nature Swiftness. So, yeah, Farseer seems to be more Riptide lenient, like I said in the beginning, because of all the talents with another Riptide charge, Riptide healing for more, Riptide having a chance to proc an ancestor, which is what Farseer is all about. My main gripe with Farseer is that the main aspect of triggering an ancestor is through Unleash Life, which in a key setting, I hate it because no one plays Unleash Life in Mythic Plus. Unleash Life has very little to no interactions in a key setting, and Unleash Life is on the global cooldown, which feels very clunky to press in the key, and you're just better off pressing Riptide if you want an instant heal instead of Unleash Life. So I think they could just replace Unleash Life with another more baseline-like ability, because it competes with Undulation, and Undulation is very, very competitive in Mythic Plus. And being forced to play Unleashed Life, you want to play Farseer in keys, is not something that seems very appealing to me. And then the Capstone. The Capstone is just boring, in my opinion. It's nice, but I just feel like it could revolve around like a bigger / stronger ancestor instead of just being a random second Ancestral Swiftness replacement. I don't know, it just feels a bit boring in my opinion. And then my other problem with Hydro Bubble is that the absorb decays over time. This could be just a tuning issue, but I feel like you either make fully advantage of the absorb, so the person takes immediate damage when the Hydro Bubble spawns instantly, and you make the most value out of it, or it decays fully over its duration, and you make little to no use out of the absorb on that person. But yeah, how it plays out is just, let me see if I get a proc from Riptide. None so far, sadly. one more. If not, I'll just cast Unleash Life. Okay, I didn't get. I'll just cast the new Ancestral Swiftness, another way, Unleash Life. If I cast Lava Shock, they will both Lava Burst. If I cast Chain Lightning, they will also cast Chain Lightning. If I cast Healing Rain, they will cast Chain Heal. If I cast Healing Surge, they will also cast Healing Surge. But yeah, that's pretty much Farseer. It looks, like I said, fun, but a bit passive and a bit boring as well. And now Totemic. Totemic has been received very, very well. It's a lot of fun, in my opinion. Has its issues, which I'll go over in a bit. But yeah, so Totemic is all about totems, pretty much, as the name implies. The main ability, the most important one, is Surging Totem. Summons a totem at your feet that immediately and every 5 seconds casts Healing Rain within 30 yards where allies are present, healing for 30% more than a normal Healing Rain, and it lasts 20 seconds. So it completely replaces Healing Rain. You still need to talent into it, obviously, otherwise you just don't get the totem at all. I've tried it. And instead of being a cast, which also costs mana, and it lasts 10 seconds, it replaces it, and it's instant, it costs no mana, and it spawns 4 times, obviously, and the duration is halved because it lasts 20 seconds. Then you have Lively Totems, which is our beloved sepulcher of the first one's tier set bonus effect, which was your Healing Tide Totem, Healing Stream Totem, Cloudburst Totem, Mana Tide Totem, and Spirit Link cast a free instant chain heal when you summon them. Then you have other talents like Amplification Core. While Surging Totem is active, your damage and healing done is increased by 3%. Or while Ascendance is active, Surging Totem is 100% more effective. Totemic Rebound, I forgot to imply, but a lot of these talents are not yet implemented, so I am not able to show them, but I can give you an idea of what they will seem to be just by reading the tooltip. Chain Heal now jumps to a nearby totem once it reaches its maximum targets, causing it to bounce an additional time to a nearby injured ally. Then you have Oversized Totems, increases the size and radius of your totems by 15%, and the health of your totems by 30%. Swift Recall, successfully removing a harmful effect with Tremor Totem or Poison Cleansing Totem, or controlling an enemy with Capacitor Totem or Earth Grab Totem reduces the cooldown of the totem used by 5 seconds, and this cannot occur more than once every 20 seconds per totem. You have Wind Barrier. I already like this talent, but it's not yet implemented, so I'll be curious to see how it plays out. If you have a totem active, your totems grant you a shield, absorbing a certain amount of damage for 30 seconds every 30 seconds. Reactivity. Your healing spells cause your healing stream totems to heal a nearby ally immediately at 50% effectiveness, and Cloudburst Totem stores 25% additional healing. Imbuement Mastery increases the duration of your Earth Living effect by 6 seconds. Pulse Capacitor increases the damage and healing done of Surging Totem by 25%. Supportive Imbuements, you learn a new weapon imbue. This is called Tidecaller's Guard, and it can only be applied to shields. It increases the healing done by 2% and increases the duration of your Healing Stream Totem and Cloudburst Totem by 3 seconds. Totemic Coordination, chain heals from your totems are 30% more effective. This number is a bit too high in my opinion. It needs to be tuned, but then again it's alpha. Earth Surge, allies affected by your Earthen Wall Totem, APT, and Earth Living effect received 10% increased healing from you. And then you have Whirling Elements, which is the capstone. I really, really like this capstone. This is the Antaurus bonus tier set effect back in the day in Legion. I didn't play Shaman at the time, but I got told that it was. And what it is elemental motes orbit around your Surging Totem. Your abilities consume the motes for enhanced effects. The water one your next healing wave or healing surge also heals for an ally inside of your healing rain at 100% effectiveness. Air, the cast time of your next healing spell is reduced by 40%. And Earth, your next chain heal applies Earth Living at 150% effectiveness to all targets hit. So how this looks like is when you spawn Surging Totem, you have your 3 modes. If I, for example, cast Chain Heal, it will consume both Earth and the Air one. And then you have the Water one, which is the effectiveness of Healing Wave and Healing Surge on an ally inside Healing Rain. Yeah, I really like this capstone, and honestly, a lot of these talents are very fun. Like I said, it seems to push you a bit towards more of a chain heal playstyle, and also healing stream totem for the looks of it, just because Cloudburst is on a longer cooldown compared to healing stream, and you get a lot of, for example, this talent. Your healing spells cause your healing stream totems to heal on your nearby ally immediately at 50% effectiveness, and you also get more chain heals out of constant healing stream totems. There was also another talent here, I think, with the healing stream. And then obviously just it being reduced CD, you can get more chain heals from your totems, and those being 30% more effective is also a tuning aspect that I hope it gets addressed, because Cloudburst is not as it's not as powerful as it was back in the day, and it feels sad and a bit annoying because Cloudburst is a high skill ceiling ability that it shouldn't be brought down to a place where it competes that much with Healing Stream Totem, because Healing Stream Totem, you literally just press a button and you don't care about it. It does healing for you. And with Cloudburst, you actually have to think and pre-plan your healing on demand. And I'm just a bit worried that it pushes you too much into a healing stream playstyle, because it's just being more powerful and triggering more abilities, especially Chain Heal, and just because it's on a reduced cooldown. My main gripe with Totemic, though, has to be if you play Mythic Plus with a ranged comp. So how it works is, in this case, I'm the only player here, but it seems to prio pets and allies, obviously. So it's gonna spawn 4 healing rains, and the totem has 30 yards, so it's completely RNG where it spawns and who it decides it will spawn on. But for example, if the tank is fighting these 3 mobs and you happen to be in melee, but a player here, like imagine a warlock or a mage, are fighting here, and the totem is here, obviously, healing rain might spawn on them, and you see the problem, right? It's a DPS loss, it's an HPS loss, but obviously in the key setting, it's a huge DPS loss because you're making 0 usage out of Acid Rain because it just so happens to spawn on ranged classes. I don't know how they can address this, because at the moment this is completely RNG, so the only, honestly, way to address this would, for us players to be able to choose where it spawns. Although, like I said, I don't know how that would be implemented, because it spawns 4 times, and having to do that like 4 times within the 20-second window seems a bit annoying. Yeah, there's also some fun interactions, for example, with Mode and Unleashed Life. Although Unleashed Life might be a bit annoying in Raid, because if you have Surging Totem active and you press Unleashed Life, your next Healing Rain will consume that Unleashed Life. So in this case, Healing Rain has 8 targets hit instead of the 6, just because of the Unleashed Life interaction. In the key setting, this is fine, even though obviously you would want to play Undulation, but in Raid, you might want to hold onto that Unleash Life, right, for uh, Chain Heal High Tides, etc. And it being always cast on Surging Totem Healing Rain seems a bit annoying in a Raid setting because it might be an HPS loss compared to just casting it on Chain Heal. Then you also have mode. I think the mode interaction is very cool in keys because you can literally press Lava Burst and gain Master of the Elements and press Surging Totem, and then your next Sealing Rain will consume the buff, in which case it already did. But if you cast Lava Burst again, this rain is also buffed by 20% more, both healing and damage. And you can easily, within mode, a lot more efficiently compared to the past, where you would have to just manually cast Lava Burst a lot of the time and then cast Healing Rain. And now it's just because it's instant, you can make a lot more usage out of a mode. But yeah, like I said, like Totemic is a lot of it is not yet implemented, but it is very fun. It's definitely, in my opinion, a lot more engaging than Farseer. It has its issues, and I do hope that the same ones that I addressed will also get addressed. Um, there's also a fun thing that I kind of wish it worked. I don't know if it's also gonna get fixed or if it's just not supposed to work in that way whatsoever, but you cannot make use out of the water effect on Primordial Wave cleaves. It seems to only buff the initial healing wave and not the entire cleave. In this case, it would buff the next healing wave from Primordial Wave by 100% effectiveness. Sadly, it only buffs the initial person. Otherwise, it would make Primordial Wave a very potent AoE cooldown. I guess that could be a bit broken in my eyes, but as you guys know, I'm a very Primordial Wave connoisseur. I love this ability. So I'm a bit sad that it doesn't work with that interaction, but I kind of wish it did, and I kind of wish it gets addressed. Maybe, who knows? But yeah. And those are my main aspects about both Totemic and Farseer. And now I want to go over briefly about some changes that I want to see addressed for the spec from having it played and pushing rank 1 keys as a Wrestle Shaman, both at the very end of BFA, throughout all of Shadowlands, and throughout all of Dragonflight. Dragonflight has been a frustrating expansion to play Wrestle Shaman in, I'm gonna be very honest. Although Season 2 was the best iteration of Wrestle Shaman in this expansion for me personally, because the tier set bonus was our best one yet. It kind of pushed you to a Primordial Wave Ancestral Awakening build where you buffed your Primordial Wave by a lot from the 4-piece bonus, 10% per stack, and then you had the 2-piece bonus, which was Tide Waters, and it area healed people affected by Riptide every time you cast Healing Rain, and it was just a lovely tier set. I had a lot of fun playing Wrestle Shaman at the time, even though the Mythic Plus Exodia comp was present. But it was the best iteration if you liked Primordial Wave, because if you did play with Chain Heal, it was a bit more annoying. But I don't want to go too much into it. My main gripe, and I'll be brief here with the class tree, is that there's a lot of throughput towns here that, as a Wrestle Shaman in keys, you literally cannot take them unless you just sacrifice utility, which is something that you do not do in keys. You always need Thunderstorm, you always need Cap Totem. You always, well, not always, but most of the times you need Poison Cleansing Totem, you need Purge, you need survivability tools like Spirit Wolf, Earth Ellie, Stone Skin, etc. So things like Swirling Currents cannot be talented, nor can Surging Shields. Most of the time, nor can Nature's Fury, because you need to take Purge and Decurse, for example, in weeks like, I don't know, You need to go into a dungeon where it requires you to play Purge. Imagine it's afflicted, so you need 2 talent points into PCT and improved Purified Spirit. And then all of a sudden you have no throughput in these talents because you need utility. And that sucks, in my opinion. You need utility, you need survivability tools, and most of the times I literally cannot take survivability tools because I need the utility, and it just sucks. Um, Also, I can talk a bit briefly about Gust of Wind as a Resto Shaman spec. As a Resto Shaman in keys. The spec feels very limited still in order to get here. Winds of Alakir is the most useless talent in here. I don't know why it exists. And it feels awful always to get to either Spear Walk or Gust of Wind as a Resto Shaman in a key setting. It's in raid it's easier because you literally take no utility points, so you can easily get here. In keys, it still feels very bad to take it. Alright. And now it comes to the spec tree. Our spec tree is very problematic. It still leaves me very frustrated till to this day. In keys when I want to try out different talents, but honestly I just can't because everything is either undertuned very poorly and they are either useless or they just suck completely. My main gripe with the spec tree is a lot of our talents here in the upper bit of our tree cost 2 talent points instead of 1. We are one of these specs which take the most amount of points to get down to the middle part of the tree and the bottom part as well. For example, the luge costs 2 points when it should only cost 1. In my opinion, Vigor should only cost 1 as well. Then you have talent points like improved Primordial Wave, which should also only cost 1. Tidebringer is a quality of life talent and not a throughput one. In my opinion, it should also cost 1. You have also Ancestral Awakening, should also cost 1. And that's only a quick overview of talents that cost too many, and it just feels bad because at some point you need to take these, right, to get to the middle part of the tree, but then you have like nothing else to spend it on because you just had to spend those points there to get to the other half of the tree. You also have talents like Water Totem Mastery, which in my opinion make no sense. I feel like it should just be baseline. You also have too many haste affected talents, if that makes sense, into our tree, like Flash Flood, Tidebringer, and then you're gonna have bonuses like the Air one, which also reduces the cast time of your next healing spell by 40%. I just feel like we have so many of these that, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense having them in the tree. I just feel like they could still exist, but have some sort of new interaction, probably with haste, like overall haste, not just healing spell. Healing spell, sorry. But yeah, healing rain. I also feel like there's a lot of focus around the spell, but there's not enough talents around it. I feel like Overflowing Shores needs to be replaced with Tide Waters, which was the 2-piece bonus, like I said in the beginning, from Season 2 in Dragonflight. Every time you cast Healing Rain, allies affected by your Riptide would be area healed by a certain amount. This was a lovely tier set. It actually felt good to just pressing Healing Rain 4 damage in a key setting and people getting passively healed just from you casting Healing Rain on cooldown. It actually felt good to press it. And not even that, I just feels like it needs something else even after Tide Waters. Then you also have some talents like Lava Surge and Echo of the Elements, which should also be baseline. It feels especially Lava Surge. I don't know why Lava Surge is beneath Spirit Link Totem. Um, like, why is a damage talent beneath a throughput talent, our most important cooldown? And it's honestly the only way to get to it. I don't know why it's here. It never made sense to me. Um, you also have choice nodes beneath, for example, like Healing Tide Totem. These two choice nodes are complete garbage, horrible. They need to be a lot better to be actually taken. In raids, I know some people take healing current control in this case just to get another extra usage out of Healing Tide, but even then it's so niche that it's not even worth it. I know Tide Turner is played in PvP, that's really the only scenario where you play it. The choice nodes beneath Mana Tide Totem are also very underwhelming, especially Resonant Waters. Torrent is also, for example, I forgot to talk about this one, but Torrent should also be a 1-point node, and I should also say that it should have some sort of another interaction, not just increasing the healing, the initial healing on Riptide, and then you also have another useless sound, Improved Earth Living Weapon. This is horrible, probably the worst talent in our spec tree. And then just in general, like, our capstone area feels very underwhelming. I hate when I want to take other things in a situation where I don't want to play short P-Wave, for example, but literally everything else sucks. This sucks, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, and this is the only good bit, like the left half of the tree. And even to some extent, sorry, Ancestral Awakening also sucks, because ever since the change at some point after Season 2, they reduced the value out of Ancestral Awakening, and they also changed the way it heals, so a lot of it just is not a smart heal anymore and goes into overhealing, and it's just underwhelming, you know? Having so many dead talents that are either poorly tuned or just not designed well. For example, Downpour. Downpour is horribly undertuned, and I think it should also be redesigned in a way where it the allies affected by Downpour, it should cast Riptide on them, and those Riptides would provide with Vigor if you're talented into that. You also have Wellspring. I love the spell. I don't know why they butchered it in the end of Season 1. And now your only option is to play DRE because Wellspring is just completely dead. It's so undertuned that it's never worth to play the talent. And I also feel like it needs some sort of new redesign and not only a tuning change. Other things that I want to go over, I'm probably already making this video way too long. Obviously the spec has an issue with not having a group/raid-wide buff. It's both Resto and Ellie still to this day that do not have one, and it feels bad in a key setting and in a raid setting to not bring anything compared to a Resto Druid with Mark of the Wild, compared to a Holy Paladin with Devo Aura or even Red Aura, compared to a Priest with Fortitude, compared to a Mistweaver with Avoidance or Leech AoE healing or the Mystic Touch, or an Evoker with their buff, whose name I completely forgot. Did I forget anyone? I might have. But yeah, it just feels like they want to go on with this class buff being a thing. And if they want to do that, then they need to give something to us shamans, because it just feels bad not being able to provide anyone with anything, pretty much. Because why would you bring a shaman when you can bring literally anything else that just gives you For example, a Druid, Mark of the Wild, which is a healing and damage increase, and it just makes you tankier because of the versatility buff. I also feel like we also have too many chain heal enhancing talents. I feel like if you don't talent into these and you want to play a build that only revolves around anything but not pressing chain heal, it just feels like a throughput loss because everything else is just tuned poorly, and chain heal is so efficient and effective that it's doing so much healing, all because the baseline spell is also doing a lot of healing, obviously, but also because you have these talents which just enhance it by so much. For example, High Tide, both Ancestral Reach and Flow of the Tides, etc. Nothing else that I might have forgotten. I also don't like how we have so many talent points committed to Earth Shield. We have obviously Earth Shield by default. I think it should be baseline. Because who the hell is the rest of Shaman that doesn't talent into Earth Shield? You also have Elemental Orbit. You have Surging Shields. And then you have Earthen Harmony. And also my other problem and gripe with Earth Shield is that it's still attached to being a stacked buff. So in this case, it has 9 stacks, and you just need to refresh it constantly. And obviously, it's on the GCD, and it just feels bad and poor gameplay, especially in Raid. In Raid, Earth Shield, like refreshing it just feels so bad because it's still a button worth the press, right? And you want to press it, especially because you're giving someone damage reduction, but it just feels bad having stacks and constantly having to refresh it on yourself and another person, both in raid and in a key setting. But yeah, I think that's mostly what I wanted to talk about. Is I can give you a quick TLDR. We have a lot of 2 talent choice nodes, or points rather, that should cost only 1, because we need to spend too many points to get down to the half part of the tree and the bottom part of the tree. A lot of our capstones are underwhelming and need to be redesigned. I could also give you my opinion on Primal Tide Core, which could be a bit redesigned in my opinion. It's not as competitive at all compared to High Tide, especially if you play with Chain Heal, which normally you do. And a lot of dead talents, I just wish they would be repositioned and tuned correctly, like Downpour and Wellspring, because at the moment we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10-ish talents that are completely dead and barely never used in any context. And it just feels bad. Like, why? Why do we have so many dead talents that are either useless or undertuned and have been undertuned for too long? They are literally just useless, and there's literally no reason to talent into them. But yeah, I think I've rambled way too much and gave my opinion on things that they can change for the spec. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, make sure to like and drop a comment in the comment section down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace.